The Palestinian Authority demanding an end to Israeli occupation of its territories, citing decades of discrimination. Now, this was the argument put forth before the Hague-based International Court of Justice, which is currently hearing arguments on the legal status of disputed lands held by Tel Aviv.
United Nations enshrined in its charter the right of all peoples to self-determination and pledged to rid the world of the gravest breaches of this right, namely colonialism and apartheid. Yet, for decades, the Palestinian people have been denied this right and have endured both colonialism and apartheid.
Proceedings at the UN's highest court will focus on Israeli occupation of the West Bank, Gaza and East Jerusalem. Hearings scheduled this week will involve 52 states pleading their case before the 15-judge panel elected by the UN General Assembly. Among the countries expected to present, the US, China, Russia, South Africa and Egypt. Judges will then have several months to deliberate before issuing an advisory opinion, which could be issued by the end of this year. Let's get more now from Ishan Garg, joining us live from Brussels. Ishan, Israel's not taking part in this week's hearings. Can we then expect them to perhaps take the stand in the future?
Absolutely. Israel is not expected to take part in the hearings orally, but they are expected to submit a written submission in front of the ICJ, where it's likely that they're going to argue that Israel's administration of the Palestinian territories is justified because of security concerns, because of defense reasons. But what we have seen on day one of this hearing is arguments being made by the Palestinian officials who have argued that if an occupation goes on for as long as this one has for nearly 6 decades, it's not really a temporary situation anymore, and it's going to snowball into a humanitarian conflict and a problem that could require the international community's attention and interference at some point. We are expected still to find out if Israel is going to submit a legal proceedings in writing, and what we would need to see in the coming few days are how this case is being seen by the international community, because nearly 50 countries are expected to submit their arguments, and it will also include 2 major regional organizations, including the African Union as well. So this case is expected to give people a sense of what the position of the international community is on this particular subject.
Now, the ICJ won't be delivering its rulings until months down the road. How significant and enforceable would the ruling be then?
Well, the first thing we need to understand is that this is an advisory opinion which is not legally binding. It was first asked for in 2022 by a General Assembly of the United Nations, but this is not legally binding. So whatever the outcome of it may be, Israel could choose to completely ignore it. And this is the second time the United Nations has asked for its highest judicial body to present its legal expertise on the subject. So legal experts are saying that Israel could choose to completely ignore it, but it couldn't possibly ignore if there is international tension building up. And that's what the Palestinian officials are hoping for. They would want to use the opportunity of this case to pile up more pressure on Israel, which is already facing some criticism from many countries around the world for its current offensive in Gaza. So Palestinian officials would hope that through this case, they will be able to bring out their side of the story, and will hope that if an ICJ issues an advisory in their favor, that will help ratchet up pressure even further on Israel.
All right, Ishan Garg, thanks for the update there, speaking to us from Brussels.